at high school. He met me. I didn't meet him. He pursued me, and a few of us girlfriends always were together. And we were both in the band together, and Gene played a clarinet, and I played snare drums. So, so when we kind of met, Gene all of a sudden is now playing snare drums too. Gene was pursuing me, I think. Oh dear. Married life together has not been boring at all. So, and then, you know, our 3 children came along, and we just love every one of them. Yeah. So, and Gene worked very hard on the farm. He worked from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. 6 days a week. And so we did have time. We had 1 week vacation a year, and that's all. So he worked extremely hard. So, and you know, we're just a typical family. Nothing great about us. We just lived, you know, and had as much fun as we could. I think that's terribly important. Sure, everything doesn't run smoothly in anybody's life, believe me. But you just override that and go on. Well, my mother and father, when they retired, and my dad then, my husband bought my dad's partnership out, so now my mother and dad are retired. And they would come down to Marathon, Florida, in the Keys. And then we were able to come down every year and be with, you know, my mom and dad for a period of time. We usually came down in January or February, get out of the Wisconsin winter. And we kind of like fell in love with the area. We really did it. We, you know, fished and you know, lay on the beach. We just did. So I went down to Key West, had fun doing that. So that's how we really got here. One of the young men who worked for Star Banner, that's the paper in Ocala, and he met this man. Met Steve somehow through a report or something. And so this young man said to our pastor, you know, you should have Steve come out and talk to us. And, you know, so we always had mission programs and everything. And so Steve came and talked to our small congregation.
Man, that must have been back in 96 or 97. I mean, Jenny and I had just come back from the jungles. And Jenny and I were the youngest people in the church, and I thought, what can I say to these older people that, you know, are already retired? And I thought, you know, why not just challenge them? So I said, you know, there are things that you folks could do in missions that other people that lack your experience can't do. And I really didn't expect there to be much of a response.
Well, Gene couldn't get out of his chair fast enough. And immediately after that was over, I could see it, he literally jumped out of his chair, ran up to the front and says,
okay, we want to get involved, what can we do? So I thought, well, I give him the test that usually rules people out, and I said, well, give me a call about midweek and let's talk about that. And sure enough, Gene called me at midweek and said, okay, what can we do? And I told him a little bit more about I-TEC. I'd talked about that at the church, and it was just a concept, and I was sure that it would never fly because people in North America like to go and do things for people. We don't like to go and train and equip them to do. But when I told Gene what I had in mind and what the Waorani had challenged me to do down in the jungles, to train them and people like them so that they could do the ministry themselves, Gene bought into it. So I invited them out to a storage cubicle, you know, the storage, you store it places. We had 1 cubicle. That's all we had to start I-TEC in. And then when Gene came out, then we went to 2, and then we went to 4. But I'm telling you, this was in the summer, and it was blazing hot, no insulation. And Gene and his gang showed up. And then 1 or 2 dropped off, but Gene was there, the stalwart of the group. And you know, I remember telling Jenny this concept for I-TEC will never fly. In fact, several times I actually took the file and stuck it in the garbage can and said, this will never work. And then Gene would call me up and say, okay, we did what you asked, what do we do next? And I'd think, oh no, I can't tell him this is not going to work. So I'd say, okay, Gene, and I'd give him another assignment and said, you know, we've got an engine to fit to this airplane that the Waurani want to have their own airplane. And Gene would show up and we got the engine running and we got the plane partially built and the one here to prove that it could work, and then started sending the parts down to the jungles.
If there's an idea, if somebody has an idea, he will carry it on. If someone says, I need this, or here's an idea. I mean, that was Steve and the portable dental operatory. Do you know how that started? Okay, do you know what happened?
Yeah, well, you can tell us.
Oh, Gene and Steve had this idea, of course, and Steve had the idea. We needed a portable dental operatory, all solar powered.
I remember when we were building the portable dental system, we'd get some parts at Home Depot or at Lowe's, and we'd take them out to I-TEC and try putting this thing together. And it was frustrating because we wouldn't have the parts we needed. And I finally said, Gene, let's just go down to Home Depot and build this thing there so we've got all the parts we need. And you know, a rational person would have said, they're not going to let us build this there. But Gene was, I think that's a great idea. So we went down to Home Depot and I just said, you know, we're trying to build a portable dental chair out of PVC pipe and things. Can we just build it here? And the guy said, sure, just take that aisle there. So Gene and I were running around Home Depot and getting things and trying things, and Gene wasn't bashful at all. We finally got it built, and as we were walking out, we just told the lady, okay, we need to pay for all these parts.
You know, we have a lot of ideas around I-TEC, and we feed Gene. Gene, can you build this for us? Can you build this for us? We have ideas constantly. Sometimes, you know, they pan out as good ideas, but Gene just builds them with a smile. Gene is a true, mature example of a follower of Jesus to me.
One of the things that inspires me the most about Gene is his inward strength. He desires to live a life of worship to God. And in doing that, as he's gotten old physically, his knees hurt, different parts of his body hurts. Man, the thing about Gene is that he keeps on showing up. He wants God to get the glory from everything that he does in his life.
When I first came to I-TEC over 10 years ago, Gene was here in the shop. Gene has been with I-TEC since the inception of I-TEC. And so I've had a great privilege to get to know Gene over all these years. And I can't think of a greater inspiration for the people that work here. Gene is one that just continually gives his all to the ministry here. Gene is a World War II vet. He gave his all for his country, and he continues to give his all for the Lord right here. And I've gone to Gene many a times for help, and also for personal things for his help, and he's always been there. I can't even remember a day that Gene came here in a bad mood. He comes here with a great heart, great attitude to serve everyone and to serve the Lord faithfully all these years. So here he is, 90 years old, and this is where he wants to be. This is where he wants to serve. And I can't think of a greater inspiration to see that. I hope someday, if Lord willing, I reach 90, that I be like Gene. He's a great testimony, and I love him a lot.
He has got a drive. He has got a drive. It's a drive for the Lord, so help me. And he I don't know if you know what I mean when you've got drive. He's got purpose, you know, in life. He has, and he keeps pursuing it, no matter how he feels. Yeah, absolutely. And you just keep on going. You just keep on going, doing it for as long as he is able to, and as long as the Lord wants him here on this earth. Yeah.
What an amazing example of somebody. Here's a man who is successful in business, retired for 20 years, and now for almost 20 years has been working every day at I-TEC, helping people that he'll never meet. What a great example of what retirement for Christ followers should be. Gene and I have been partners since the beginning of I-TEC, and I love Gene, I respect Gene. I want to be like Gene. I want to keep going till my knees have given out, my hips have given out. Actually, my knees and hips have pretty much given out, but I want to be like Gene. I wish North American Christians would follow Gene's example in retirement. Gene told me, he said, I just knew that I was wasting my life out golfing 3, 4, 5 times a week. And now it's hard to imagine Gene out on the golf course. The only way I can picture Gene is in his shop, welding mask on, going at it, and thinking of the people that he's helping, but more than anything, just full of joy of doing something that's worth doing and still able to do it. Gene is I-TEC and I-TEC is Gene. I hope we all can follow his example.
I don't have much, but really what I do have is time. Yeah, so if that's the time that I have, I want to make sure that it's being used and God's using the time.